For This Week in Washington, I'm Brian Darling. Federal judges, the United Nations Human Rights Council, and the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination are the three big issues this week in Washington. The liberals continue to block President Bush's conservative judicial nominees in the hope they can pack the courts with liberal judges in a potential Democrat administration. The federal courts are so important because they are the training ground for our future Supreme Court nominees. Conservatives need to make sure that the table is not set for judges that will legislate a so-called constitutional right of same-sex marriage from the bench, take away the right to keep and bear arms, and strike down any mention of God in the public square. Please read Legislative Lowdown and Human Events this week for conservative issues coming up in Washington. This Friday, May 2nd at 10 a.m., the Heritage Foundation will be hosting an event titled the UN Human Rights Council, Reform or Regression. The UN General Assembly voted in March of 2006 to replace the Commission on Human Rights with the Human Rights Council because the Commission, dominated by human rights abusers who use their influence to block scrutiny or criticism, proved unable to champion human rights. The new council, just like the old one, and has focused on criticizing Israel, yet they ignore the abuses in communist China and dictator Kim Jong-il's North Korea. Do we need any more evidence that the United Nations is a left-wing slanted international organization? Stephen Groves, analyst for the Freedom Project at the Heritage Foundation's Margaret Thatcher Center, has written about the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. This left-wing international entity issued a report requesting the United States stop the death penalty, restore the rights of convicted felons to vote, and ban the First Amendment protected communications the left considers hate speech. Conservatives should watch these international organizations like a hawk. That's This Week in Washington. I'll see you next week. For more information, log on to heritage.org and stay tuned next week for more news and information.